Welcome to the Simple Doesn't Mean Easy podcast. We are here every Monday and Friday working at simplifying things in our lives, one day at a time, one simple step at a time. I'm your host, Michelle Visser, and today I have a story for you. Bill and I, this was actually years ago, we're having dinner in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and we stumbled across the coolest story that I actually documented. I will link the article in the description. And I'm just gonna read this to you today. We came across this giant old chestnut tree, and there's a picture of it in the article that I'm linking. It was a gorgeous giant tree, and there was a story connected to it. So, me loving the stories, I had to go read the whole thing. And I found out that this giant horse chestnut tree was planted by William Whipple. I had never heard of William Whipple, but turns out he was a signer of the Declaration of Independence. And after he returned to his little New England seaport town from Philadelphia, and that very monumental occasion in 1776, where he signed his name and realized the results could be completely damning and devastating for he and his entire family. He returned home and he did a really cool thing that clarifies the fact that doing simple things isn't easy, but wow, is it worth the effort? He planted a chestnut seed days after returning home. Just imagine, as he planted that seed, what he must have been wondering. He must have doubted if it was even worth his effort. If the city, his colony's main port city, would even be burned to the ground by British forces in the weeks and months ahead once the king got the copy of the signed declaration. If the colonies would crumble under the dictates of a powerful, angry king when he received that signed parchment that declared these humble people were going to try it alone and would no longer acknowledge his dominion. I can't imagine what was going through William Whipple's mind as he planted a chestnut seed. Like, with possible imminent danger, or at very minimum, imminent war, why do you plant a chestnut seed? But William Whipple chose to cling to hope. And I imagine he prayed a little too, as he caked the dirt under his nails and pounded the soil firmly around that little lifeless looking brown seed that offered just a glimmer of hope, a glimmer of a promise of a day when it would provide shade and comfort, and possibly a free nation that could actually govern itself. William Whipple's simple act now grows so tall and monumentally gorgeous for the whole world to see, overlooking the picturesque river in his glorious land of the free that we get to call home. So I've got to say, thank you, Mr. Whipple. Thank you for not only making that long ride on horseback for those boring, long, hot meetings that you fearfully, I assume fearfully, maybe not, but fearfully signed your name to a document that the results could have been horrendous. Thank you. Thank you for doing all of that. But most dramatically, thank you for your courageous, oh so simple act of hope. Thank you, Mr. Whipple, for getting down on your knees, getting your hands dirty, and planting some hope in the face of so much uncertainty. Thank you, Mr. Whipple, for planting hope that still stands and still grows. So, what about you, if you're listening today? What about that simple thing that's intimidating you today? That thing that you don't know the outcome of, but you know you should be brave. You should do it. Why don't you consider Mr. Whipple's example? Why don't you pray, dig in, and get it done? Because you never know the benefits that others are going to reap. So that's my story for you today. Thanks for listening, friends. And remember, it's easy to forget how blessed we are to live this life. So enjoy the simple, everyday efforts. It's not easy, but it's a good life.